Hey guys, welcome back to the channel and thank you for checking out today's video. I'm going to be installing these new Noble fog light bezels. So when I did my grill, I mentioned doing the fog bezels just because I think these look kind of bad. I don't like the look of them. I don't like that I have fog lights down here that aren't hooked up. If you guys don't remember, I bought this car used, R-titled, questionable history, but somebody put in these fog lights and they're not hooked up. There's no wiring, there's no nothing for them, so no point in having them in there. And then I also don't like the turn signal in the bumper right here. I don't like this one. I was going to do the turn signal in the C lights when I did my headlights, but I chose not to for the time being. Spoiler alert, there may be some headlights coming for the car. We'll have to see. But these are the new Noble ones. They come with the LED strip and they are no fog lights. So there's a hole here, a vent, where you can see they're like the STI style bezel, and they're all gloss black. They look really nice. And then of course we have this LED strip that's going to function as our turn signal, so we can disconnect this turn signal, use this one. But this should be a quick process. The only challenging part about this is really removing the bumper. There'll be a little bit of wiring I'll show you guys how to do, and then we'll pop this sucker out and we'll have something a little bit more like that. All right, so you guys can see I've already removed this piece of crap factory. Well, this isn't even factory. This is like an eBay. Somebody bought a fog light kit. It came with this. This is like not the factory plastic. But either way, that's removed now. Super easy to pop those out, but we still have to take the bumper off because we're going to have to do a little bit of wiring. And I want to remove the fog lights and turn signals because those are not going to fit in with the turn signal. You could leave your fog lights behind there. I've done that with the OEM STI bezels. You could leave your fog lights in there and have like hidden fog lights, but because they're behind that mesh, it's really not going to do a whole lot. When I had my fog lights in the grill, they worked pretty well because they were facing straight forward, but doing the ones in the bumper with that isn't going to work too well. But don't judge me for my bumper. It's very dirty. The paint job is terrible. Whoever painted this thing, I just want to shake their freaking hand, give them a nice high five and tell them that they're an idiot. But either way, I'm going to pull this bumper off and we'll eventually get to repainting this bumper or the whole car. I can't decide. Please, in the comments, let me know. Keep the car black or repaint it. I was thinking either series gray or red. Two complete opposite kind of deals, but I don't know what to do. I thought the series gray or a cool khaki gray would be really cool because you don't see that color very often on these cars. But the red just pops. It looks great. I don't know what to do. But please let me know in the comments before you watch the video, what should I do with this? Should I leave it black and repaint the stuff that needs repainted, polish the whole car? Should I do red? Should I do gray? Should I do blue? What should I do? I don't know what to do here. But either way, I am going to rip this bumper off. As always, couple 10 mils up top, couple pop clips down on the bottom, on the sides, pop this thing off, and we'll get right to it. Have you guys ever seen a guy on YouTube working on his car with no shoes on? I was wearing my Croc flops, which I was probably getting judged for enough, and now I'm wearing no shoes. It is hot out here, and there's something in this hood. I don't know what's in this hood, but if you guys just heard that, there's something in this hood like moving around. I need a new hood anyway. This hood is beyond saving. I'm not going to try and fix it. But anyways, there was this guy a long time ago. His YouTube name was Last Human's Garage. He still makes videos, but he doesn't make WRX content anymore. He used to. And I used to watch some of his videos, and I used to laugh because every single video he is shirtless. And so I thought it was funny. I'm rocking no shoes right now. Oof. So now we're going to disconnect our turn signals. I'm actually not going to disconnect it here because we need this harness. But I'm going to push this in and pull this out of the bumper. Set this aside. Oh, yep. Chalk that up. So the back side here, we have our fog light and our turn signal, and there's only one screw holding this fog light in. And then I can just pop this thing out. Then we have two 10 mils holding on the turn signal. Push in on the bottom, pop it out. All right, so our new Noble one, we're gonna grab it, we're gonna feed this wire back through. We can kind of feed it through anywhere, I guess. Then we are going to line this up, get the back lined up, get the front lined up. It's a little tricky. I think I'm gonna start at the front because we have to get the front tab lined up. It's always fun trying to clip this stuff in, but I think we got it. So pretty lengthy harness here. It does run across to both sides, which I'm not a huge fan of, to be honest with you, but I understand why it's done that way. It makes it easier to wire up. But I'm just going to lay the wires out right now, see about how I want to run them. Both sides are going to have a switch on them. And again, this is kind of long. I wish it was built into the bezel, but this isn't a big deal. This switch is just to turn on and off the sequential turn function. So you can have the sequential turn either go like across like sequential, or it'll just flash like normal. I'm probably just gonna have it flash like normal, but I'll show you the sequential function also. So this is the wire that we have unplugged from our factory turn signal. We're just gonna locate the one on the harness and click that in. If I slide the bumper over, it's going to connect to our DRL. So we'll plug that in just like that. And then we're just gonna run this one wire across to the other side. We can zip tie this up, put it behind the foam piece on the crash beam, or put it behind the crash beam, however we want to do it. So if you guys can see me right here is our turn signal harness. I am just going to plug this into that, click, and then we will plug this one into the DRL on this side. Got that clicked in. Perfect. The wiring is done besides the power and the ground, and I'll bring you guys over and show you how I'm doing that. So when you're base model or premium model WRX, you have like the factory headlights here, and the high beam typically works as a DRL, or if you have the limited or an STI where it has the illuminated C light, this will work to run that, I believe. I don't know if you'll have this or not, but this is like a resistor, I guess, and I've already unplugged that. And what that does is it stops your high beam from turning on during the day when your e-brake is down. So this will give it the same power as your DRL. So I know that this harness comes with a add-a-fuse that you could run to your fuse box, but I'm not going to be using that. I'm going to hardwire it into this DRL. So there's a green and a black and white wire here. I'll test them to see which is power, which is ground. And then I'm just going to cut and splice my wires. So I'll run power and ground. Then what that'll do is as soon as you turn the car on, because that's a DRL harness, it'll immediately illuminate the bezels. And so when the car is on, the bezels will light up. And then when you shut the car off, the bezels will shut off. And they will stay on the entire time the car is running until you flip the high beams. When you flip the high beams, it'll turn the DRL bezels off, which is fine. And then if you pull the e-brake up, it will also disable the DRL. So when the car is sitting with the e-brake on, the DRLs will be disabled. So we have our wire here with the add-a-fuse. I went ahead and cut that, so we just are left with this positive lead. And then we have our ground lead here. I'm going to cut that. And then we can just strip these, just get a little bit of the wire off, get the coating off of there. So we have some bare wire exposed. Set that aside. Then we have our DRL harness. I'm gonna try and pull that down and under so we have more room to work with it here. And I am going to trim back some of this protective sleeve here. Have a little bit of extra wire to work with now. We'll snip it right about there. Perfect. All right, guys, so while the car is running, I should be able to test the DRL. While the car is running, I'm going to ground this out. Hopefully you guys can see this. I don't know if I'll be able to hold this and ground this and do everything in one motion. I'm going to hold this here, and I'm going to test. All right, I'm going to test this green wire. All right, so there's our voltage. So we have correct voltage to the DRL, and then we have nothing on the other ones. We are going to just insert this wire into here. Insert this one, so we're going ground to ground. Then we will crimp it. All right, after our crimp, I'm gonna give it a little bit of heat to shrink this connector. We can crimp that. Give that some heat. We can just kind of grab all this if we want to loop it up or whatever, and then we'll zip tie it somewhere. I'll do that off camera because it's going to be a pain in the butt. So I just took some tape, just enough to hold the foam onto the crash beam while I reinstall the bumper, but you can see the wire, I ran it right behind that foam piece and that worked out just fine. You can see I just kind of have all the wires here together. I just have them all zip tied up, and I'm just gonna literally sit them right on that splash guard when I put the bumper back on. That's how it kind of is from the factory, so it should be fine. Over here, I still have to combine all those and zip tie those up. and then we'll stick the bumper back on. Unfortunately, something that I realized is, I didn't even think about it, we are going to have hyper flash. So unless you have already a resistor to prevent hyper flash, we're going to have hyper flash. So that is going to flash too fast to be really useful as a sequential. So I'm not really going to be able to show you guys the sequential function because it only goes about a quarter of the way and then it stops. So I'll show you what the turn signals look like without sequential, and they are going to be hyper flashing. So I'm going to have to get a resistor for each side to prevent the hyper flash, but that's not a big deal. For now, I'll just deal with it for a couple days till a resistor shows up and we can eliminate that. But I'm going to zip tie these wires up. We'll just put the bumper back on the same way it came off and we're all done. All right, guys, so we got the fog bezels installed. I think it's starting to rain, so I'm going to wrap this video up. I'm going to show you guys real quick what they look like. I'll show you the DRLs. I'll show you the turn signals real quick. So the car is going to have to be running for them to light up, which is the only thing that some people might not like. And again, if you're not crazy about that, you can do it. You can wire them up however you want. This is just how I wanted to wire these up. So we'll turn the car on, and as soon as we turn the car on, they should light up. So right now there's no headlights on, no high beams on, no turn signals, no nothing. If I pull the e-brake, they should shut off. And when I release the e-brake, they should turn back on. And then we have our left turn signal. Again, we're gonna have hyper flash because of the not having a resistor in there. Then we have our hazards. We won't have hyper flash because it's the hazard, so. All right, then we have parking lights on, headlights on. It should turn them off. So I am noticing with the turn signals on, the one side is flickering, and I think that it wouldn't matter whether it had hyper flash or not. I think it's going to do the same thing. But you can see this one here is flickering with the turn signal as it flashes, and that's not normal. I don't think it's supposed to be doing that, and it maybe because of the DRL harness that I hooked them up to. So I'll have to figure that out because I don't like the way that looks, and that's not how I want to continue to run it. So I pulled everything back off and tried again, and this time we have a different problem. May not be a problem to some people. The turn signals still work. Of course, they are hyper flashing, but there's no headlights on. Nothing is lit up right now except the turn signal, and the turn signals are functioning. But the way that I routed it now is I just did it the way you're supposed to, and I did the add a fuse, which I was kind of a little weary about because, well, we have it going up, we have our negative on there, and then we have this coming into the fuse box, going to the add a fuse to the headlight switch. And what I assumed would be the problem is the problem. These are no longer DRL lights, so even when the e-brake is down, the car is running, no matter what, these are not actually lit up until the headlights turn on, which is very unfortunate. So you can see my e-brake is down, they are not on. I can turn the parking lights on, they still won't come on. And then when you turn the headlights on, they will finally come on with the headlights and only with the headlights, which is kind of disappointing because then technically they aren't really a DRL because they're not staying on all the time while you're driving. So you can see now this one is no longer flickering while the turn signal is on. So that problem is fixed. But now they only come on with the headlights. So when I hook them up to the DRL harness, like I typically would with aftermarket headlights, diode dynamic C lights, anything like that, I've never had an issue with them doing the weird thing that they were doing earlier. So something's going on here. I'm not sure what it is. I don't necessarily think it's the fault of the bezels. I think the bezels are fine because as you can see here, they are working. They're installed. They fit and flush, which that's fine. That's how I'm going to run them for right now. I'm going to run them like this. Maybe something was messed up with the wiring. I'll have to look into it, but yeah, this is the way I'm going to have to run them for now with the headlights on. So, oh well, I mean, it is what it is. I don't think it's any fault of the product because, like I said, as you can see right here, it's working just fine. I think it's something going on with the wiring in the car. Something's just not right because I've never had that problem before wiring up headlights and stuff. So, yeah, I mean, it is what it is. But anyways, I'm happy with how they came out. I appreciate you guys checking out today's video. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment section and I will answer them there. There will be a link in the description if you want to pick one of these up for yourself. I think they pair perfectly with the Noble Grille. And again, if I ever choose to change the color of the car to something else, all this stuff will just slap right in and it'll look just as good as it does on the black paint. So that's going to be it, guys. I'll see you in the next one.